Hey and welcome everyone, it's Egwin here from Beyond Systems. Today we are talking about some of the best ways to deal with back pain. Now this is an overview video, so I'm not going to go too much into detail about how some of the things that I will mention are done. I mentioned some of them already in previous videos that you can look up on my channel, and I will do some of those that I have not covered yet in the very near future. Now, without any further ado, let's jump right into this video. One thing that I want to mention at the beginning as well, and that already directly relates to back pain, is the following. Please note that there are many different potential causes for back pain, and not every single one of those causes has to be treated, quote unquote, in the same way. So this video specifically focuses on possibilities that you can use to reduce back pain, to reduce some strain or some annoyance in your back, or that if you have chronic low-level back pain, you can use. However, please do not mistake this video for therapy. It's really important that if you have a serious issue with your spine, like an acute disc displacement or bulged disc or gliding vertebra or something like that, some of the things that I will mention might potentially help as add-ons. But if you suffer from any of those serious kinds of back troubles, then please seek professional advice, either in a one-on-one session with someone like me, a professional trainer, physiotherapist, or osteopath, or really a doctor if need be. All that being said, some of those methods that I will mention, you can use literally right away, and you can start using them today, like I said, at your own discretion, and really just pay attention to your body, which is one of the things that I will say for everything that has to do with a healthy body, maintaining or improving physical health. And that is the number one thing of all: properly relate with your body. Really take time, and if necessary training, to become more aware of your body. Interoception, proprioception, so really the sensations you have in your body. Learn to feel your body. That as a foundation will help you no matter what the issue is, and it will help you to increase the efficiency of many exercises, no matter if they are exercises mentioned in this video or if those are fitness training exercises that have nothing to do with back pain whatsoever. Now, the next thing, one of the most wonderful go-to methods when having back pain, is simple hanging. When I say hanging, I mean literally two different types of hanging. One, hanging from a bar with your arms up. Then there are many different versions on how you can hang. You can either hang with your shoulders completely extended or with your shoulders like pulled down. There are many different variations of that, and that is something I have not covered before, so I might do a separate video for that. But hanging is really a beautiful exercise, and when I say that, I'm not talking about hanging for 3 seconds. At the beginning, this is what might happen because you don't yet have the grip strength and endurance in your shoulders to hold yourself for longer. But I'm literally talking about hanging for, say, a minute or 2 minutes or 5 minutes even per day. Hanging creates this nice traction in your spine and really allows the back muscles and also the connective tissue to slightly restructure. One thing that is important to mention is that when you hang right side up with your hands holding on to something, you will never be able to fully relax, especially the lumbar spine. In order to do that, a different kind of hanging might be the better version, which is inversions in a supported way. Not hanging from your toes, not doing a handstand, but literally having, say, a belt, like a fly high yoga belt, for instance, running around your waist and leaning back into it, literally taking out all of the necessity of activated muscles passively hanging in there inverted. This is the method that will create the most space for your intervertebral discs you can possibly get. There are a couple of possible side effects of this if you have other health issues. So for instance, I would not suggest inversions for people who have a high blood pressure, glaucoma and stuff like that. But again, I'll do a separate video about that. The next huge thing that really helps with back pain in general, as funny as it sounds, is squatting. Going down into a deep squatting position really relaxes the lumbar spine specifically. Your tailbone drops under and you have this nice elongation of the lumbar spine, and also a gentle traction in the connective tissue areas of the fascia thoracolumbalis, which is really nice, a really nice opening. And it also takes out all the stretch that sometimes comes in there and can be a potential cause for back pain from your psoas muscle, because the psoas is one of those deep hip flexors that run back towards the spine, and in a squat, obviously, you are very close to your thighs with your upper body, which really allows for the psoas to be completely relaxed. Again, a squat is an exercise that should come totally natural to absolutely everybody out there. It's one of the most fundamental things every single one of us is capable of doing as a baby or as a kid, but many people lost the capacity to actually do a squat in their potentially even teen and then adult years. However, there are possibilities to get back into it, get back into the capacity to do a squat, and I highly recommend you check that out if you are not already capable of doing one. Again, it is something that I have not covered in detail yet, and that I want to go more into detail over the next couple of weeks and months. Another thing when we are talking about back pain, like I said, there are many different variations, many different things, but sometimes it's tensional back pain, especially if it's higher up here, and that is something that you can do that is quite nice. Either get a massage or self-massage with tennis balls. A self-massage with tennis balls works in the way that you lie down, you place 2 tennis balls just left and right off your spinal, and then you slowly roll over them. I suggest use tennis balls that are not too hard, that have been maybe played for some time already, so they are a little bit more soft, because if your muscles back there are really tight, especially when you roll over the tennis balls for the first time, this can be quite painful. However, go over it 5 minutes later a second time and you'll realize that the pain is already a lot lower, a lot reduced. Again, cautioning here, when you do this, you should not do this if you have any trouble with gliding vertebrae or stuff like that, or if you have troubles with massive osteoporosis. Those would be definitely counterindications of working with tennis balls, so applying very high local pressure and some others. So like I said, this is an instructional, not an instructional, it's an overview video just to give you some ideas and cues. The next thing that you can do to relax the muscles back here is to work with the arches of your feet. This is something that is hardly known to people, but when the structure in the legs is not correct, especially a wrong structure starts down in, say, collapsed arches of the feet, this often translates upwards and creates a lot of tension, especially in the lower back, neck and shoulder area up here. Sometimes as something as simple as restructuring the arches of the feet can already reduce all that strain on the lumbar spine and kick out literally the necessity for the muscles back there to stabilize something that is not right. This is also something that might happen if, say, you are a girl or a woman wearing high heels. Then just getting out of this, making sure that your gastrocnemius muscle, so the muscle in the back of your lower leg, your calf muscles, and also your ball of the foot and the arches of the feet are worked out properly so that they have mobility as well as strength, of course. Then again, most of the time you can reduce a lot of that strain on the lumbar spine already. Another exercise that I always recommend in situations like this is lying down in what's called an Alexander recovery position. There is an Alexander technique, which I will mention a little later again, and they have a quite nice way of really lying down, making sure that your head has the exact necessary support mechanism underneath it, and where you can really bring your spine into a neutral position. So that's a perfect way of realigning and also relaxing the spine if you can spare, say, about 15 to 20 minutes. This is an exercise where I did tutorials to before, and I'm gonna link them in the description down below. The next step, or another possibility, is simple stretching. And when I say stretching in this specific case, I do not necessarily mean yoga stretching, although yoga would be an interesting potential method, but I'm not going to mention those, say, umbrella methods in this specific case. What I mean with stretching is simple things like having your feet parallel, bringing the arms overhead, and just simply stretching upwards, or stretching slightly to one side and then slightly to the other side, maybe a little bit of a twist if that feels comfortable, always with this traction element, with this stretching element in it. Now, this is a type of stretching where it's more about just getting the muscles out of a compressional state. Say you've been sitting for a long time, then just something as simple, such a low intensity stretch, quote unquote, can really help to improve blood and lymph circulation and to literally get the life forces flowing a little bit again in the body, which more often than not is also an incredible tool to support you if you have back pain, chronic back pain, or even acute one. And also, since this is a method that does not rely on any outside force, and you can 100% control how you do it, how much of intensity you want, it is also a method that you can use gently in an acute situation just to feel out where the actual problem lies and how it helps you, if it helps you potentially even further. That being said, stretching in a slightly bigger sense definitely also makes sense, like say for instance stretching your leg muscles and also mobilizing, not necessarily through stretching, your leg joints like the hips, knees, ankles, especially getting movement going in your hips and getting a dynamic in your hip and your pelvic region, especially from the legs further upwards rather than from the spine down, is something that can help to reduce back pain tremendously as well, because a lot of back pain eventually has effects on how the pelvic ring is positioned. And if you're constantly in an anterior or posterior pelvic tilt or have high tension in your lumbar spine and stuff like that, this is not going to go well over time. Now, another important aspect, obviously, is physical training. But when I say physical training, one thing is really important, and I've done a video about that in the past. I'm going to link it down below as well. Physical training, in order to stabilize the structure, must not be mistaken for the physical training in order to stabilize the structure that is often used nowadays. Now, if you go to a gym and what people suggest to you is that you have to train your abdominals in order to stabilize your lumbar spine, they might be correct, or they might just run down that same path that the fitness industry has been presenting to people for the past couple of decades. Now, why am I saying this? Purely physical strength training does not necessarily lead to a reduction in pain. However, if you have hypertrophic muscles, meaning that your muscle mass decreased, say for instance because you are sitting for a long time, or you have been lying in bed for a month or for 2 months because you had a serious injury or surgery or stuff like that, and then you want to go back up into your regular day life, then with muscles having hypertrophed, so meaning they shrunk a little bit, the muscle mass is reduced. If that is the case, then literally the connective tissue shafts, the connective tissue compartments in which the muscles run and the muscle fibers run, they are not properly filled out, quote unquote. It's quite a complex topic of how quickly does connective tissue adapt and how quickly not, and so on and so on. However, the thing is this: imagine it like you say take a t-shirt and then you take a huge balloon that is not inflated and you put it on the inside of this t-shirt, and you start blowing this balloon up to say about 80%, and it's made in such a way that if it's blown up to 100%, then it fills the t-shirt properly and there are no wrinkles in the t-shirt anymore. Now imagine that to be your muscle. If your muscles are shrunk from, say, their normal size, the size your connective tissue shafts are originally used to, then what happens is that the muscles and the passive structures in the body are slightly more loose than they should be when it comes to the ability to stabilize the body, because stability does not only come from I have to have a muscle here that holds tight, and I have to have a muscle here that holds tight, and both in conjunction we stabilize the joint with force, with muscular force. Muscular force is never the answer to stabilizing a joint unless you are doing some sort of special task on the outside with outside force applied. Then you need, quote unquote, excessive force in the muscle. You need elevated force in the muscle in order to stabilize the body. Say if you want to lift a bucket of water, say a gallon of water, then you need to stabilize using your muscles. But if you just want to carry yourself around pretty much in a well-aligned state, for that, holding the muscles tight all the time just limits your range of motion and limits your capacity to move and adapt. So you become stiff. So see, stabilizing in order not to hurt a joint is a delicate balance between muscular tension and relaxation, both, and the connective tissue being properly stretched because of the forces from the inside that, like a balloon, sort of fill out this envelope, this compartment, and do their very important part in order to stabilize the body in a healthy way. So this is something that I would take into account if you go out and you do some muscular training, then do so for the sake of this. Don't do it with the idea in mind, I have to train my abdominals and now I have to run around with my lumbar spine muscles and my abdominal muscles engaged at all times. No, this is literally biochemically impossible. You cannot contract your abdominal muscles and your lumbar spine muscles the whole day. It's just simply biochemically not possible. That's not what the muscles are built for. However, they are built to be a force on the inside that supports the passive structure. And through that expanding force on the inside, the passive structure then actually stabilizes the body in good parts already. The rest is coordination, which I will talk about a little later. Another aspect that can contribute a lot to reducing back pain is breathing, healthy, proper breathing. Especially stressful breathing obviously has a lot to do with how you use muscles around your chest, in your abdomen, your diaphragm, and your diaphragm is tightly linked to your hip flexors, so everything is tightly connected. Plus, additional to just simply correcting breathing mechanics, it will also help to reduce stress, and stress is a major influential factor when it comes to muscle pain or joint pain due to hypertension. So this is definitely something that I would suggest you check out as well. And even if it's something as simple as observing your breath in order to reduce the frequency of your breath, to just calm yourself down a little bit and to get more into a conscious somatic breathing pattern. Natural movement is obviously the next absolutely fascinating possibility. When I say natural movement, I don't mean going to the gym. I don't mean training a specific muscle. I literally mean the natural movement. So whatever you do throughout your day, try to incorporate just a little bit more movement than would be necessary to perform a task. And I've done many videos about that in the past. Simple movement tools that you can integrate in your whole life to keep blood and lymph pumping, to keep the cardiovascular system up and running. It's not a workout in this sense. It's just using your body consciously and consciously engage and require muscles to engage, require muscles to shape, to deform the body in certain ways so that it then can actually use the pumping motion of the muscles to stay healthy, to detoxify, get rid of toxins and just metabolic waste products in the muscles, and just to get rid of excessive tension. See, a lot of tension throughout the day is created in the body specifically because we do not express our internal sensations and feelings, because we suppress them. Many of us do. So whether it's emotional situations and so on, or stressful situations at work where you literally have almost no other chance than sitting at that computer or running between the coffee machine and the counter where people are standing, something like that. Whatever it might be that stresses you out needs to have a pathway to get out again. And if that pathway is not given, because once you're back home, the only thing you're doing is literally lie down and not move anymore, then this can become a problem. This can become this constant tension pattern. So movement, in the broadest sense of the term, is actually something that's very important for our overall mental, emotional, so overall psychological, as well as physical health, and also for a healthy structure. The next aspect that I want to shift your attention to is something very simple, which is taking a bath. Just simply lying down in your bathtub, maybe put some sea salt in there, or taking a hot sea salt shower. Those can be incredibly beautiful tools to reduce tension, to get rid of stress, and with the warm water to actually create a deep relaxation in the muscles. So it's a simple tool, but it's also a very logical one. And then, of course, not as a short-term option, but in the mid to long term, I'd always suggest to people to learn to move properly, to learn about healthy alignment. That does not require excessive muscular tension, but that really allows you to have those life flows up and running, and to have the muscles working at peak efficiency, especially in terms of how to coordinate the muscles around joints to reduce pressure in the joints. And we are mainly talking about getting pressure out of your jaw, pressure out of your neck muscles, the suboccipital muscles, and that alone will already reduce the basic tension level in the whole body. Learning how to stand with a gently elongated spine in the neck, not a forward head posture, and not this artificially pulled back neck, but really this nice elongated neck that allows for full range of motion, and that still has this uplifting element to it. Whether you approach this with some sort of somatic training, that could be Alexander technique, that could be Feldenkrais, those can be a lot of other disciplines down that line, Franklin method, and so on. Those are the typical ones that I always mention, but many more of those systems come out. Or even something as simple as Qigong or Tai Chi, simple, but something as common, quote unquote, that can help a lot in learning about how to use the body by paying attention to internal sensations, get in better connection with your body, and because of that also create more efficiency in the way you move. Now, all that being said, obviously there are a lot more different methods out there that one can use to work on back pain. And like I said earlier, it is important to understand and to keep in mind that if you have serious troubles, it's always a good idea to find out what is the real cause of it. Is it emotional trauma? Is it a physical trauma, either an acute one or an old one, that might have created some sort of compensational pattern in the body, and that then translated upwards, say 10, 15 years in the future now, and creates problems? Is it some sort of stress-related tension pattern? Is it a tension pattern or a strain on the body that comes through how you work? Literally, the work that you have to do every single day. Is it something that comes from, say, for example, a structural deficiency like collapsed arches of the feet and so on? All of those different aspects. Is it some sort of autoimmune disease? What is it? Is it fibromyalgia or whatever? Yeah? All of those different things, they need to be tackled with a slight little bit different. And it's impossible to do one video to literally give you the silver bullet or the golden bullet even to tackle all of the problems with just one advice. That's impossible. So if you have just random little back pain, this is where you can use this video. You can also use this video if you realize, okay, well, there might be some low intensity exercises in there that even with my known diagnosis or injury, I can do, I can adapt. And yes, some of those aspects I definitely would also suggest to people who have serious problems, but then in a very specific way. Then maybe, yeah, okay, you can stretch straight up. You might even be able to tilt left and right for the stretch, but I would definitely suggest not to rotate and stuff like that. But this is something that's impossible to do without personal interaction and without one-on-one work. All right, so I want you to keep this all in mind, because it's really important to just get this sensation for yourself. And with that, I mean the sensomotoric feedback, feel your body, listen into your body, and give yourself the time you need to heal. Give yourself the time you need to process whatever is going on inside of your body. And yeah, also give yourself the possibility to express, because often pain, especially in the back, also has to do with something that you hold back, that you are holding on to, maybe from your past, whatever it might be, and where you literally just consciously never had the chance to channel, to manifest it out. But again, we are drifting off into the therapeutic department here, which is way beyond what I can do on this YouTube channel. All right, have a beautiful time. I wish you all the best. Please leave me a comment down below if you're interested in some special aspects, and also share this video with friends who might want to use this, or where you think, oh, this could be important for person A or B. And subscribe to the channel if you want to stay up to date with some of the updates that are coming, and some of the additional things that I said I will cover in the future, or you just want to check out everything that's going on my channel, and hit the notification bell. Thanks a lot, have a beautiful time, and see you around soon in the future. Bye guys.